Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions. Thank you again so much for our time together. We're looking forward to seeing you in services tonight as we pick up again in the book of Acts chapter 18. Great studies as we look there in Corinth. Right now, let's go back to the book of Acts chapter 20. I want to talk to you about long sermons. Oh, Pastor Summer, you preach the longest sermons. No. I've never preached as long as Paul. Acts 20, verse 7. On the first day of the week, we came together to break bread. That's on the Lord's Day, Sunday. Paul spoke to the people, and because he intended to leave the next day, kept on talking until midnight. Kept on talking. I have never preached a sermon until midnight. There were many lamps in the upstairs room where we were meeting. Seated in the window was a young man named Eutychus, who was sinking into a deep sleep as Paul talked on and on. I could think of a couple of church members who fall into a deep sleep when I'm preaching my 1-hour sermons. When he was sound asleep, he fell to the ground from the third story and was picked up dead. Paul went down, threw himself on the young man, and put his arms around him. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "He's alive." Then he went upstairs again and broke bread and ate. After talking until daylight, he left. He kept preaching until sunup. He preached all afternoon, all evening, all night, until sunup the next day. Now that was a long sermon. Now sometimes we look at this and we smile and we chuckle. But we have to understand that Paul had a heart for these people, and he realized he's probably not going to be able to spend time with them again. And he wanted to pour everything in his heart into these people. Now this is the heart of a pastor. A pastor does not preach 18-minute sermons. A pastor does not preach 22-minute sermons. I mean, that's good for television and everything, but that's not good for pastoring. Now, I would challenge you to go through the scriptures, and psychology tells us that people can only take a 22-minute sermon. People can only take an 18-minute sermon. That's because people are used to 30-minute TV shows, and we've cut our attention span to that amount. But when it comes to the Word of God, we have to teach people to open their hearts wide, and not that we should preach all night until dawn. Please, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that as God's people, maybe we need to recognize that the long sermon doesn't come because the pastor is boring, but because the pastor really has a heart for the people and wants to pour the Word into the hearts of the people.